There's a lot of interesting commentary that is going on, sir. Currently at the World Economic Forum, you have President Trump, who has come out and talking a lot about wind energy. He's criticizing the sort of unit economics wind energy is offering. He has a lot of opinions on renewable energy being losers and traditional sources of energy sort of continuing. Talk to us what you feel as a part of the MNRE in the Indian government. What is the sort of stance that India will take when it comes to such commentary that is coming in from major economies like the US?
Well, from a MNRE perspective, I would like to reiterate that renewable energy, especially in the domain of solar and wind, will continue to drive India's green energy transition. And in this, the transformation that India has seen from a mere 2 gigawatt of deployment in 2014 to about 137 gigawatt of solar today, and overall about 267 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel based energy, is something which has paid dividends in terms of lowering prices for consumers. It has overall driven down prices of solar energy to about 2 rupees 40 paise per unit. And with declining battery energy storage cost, we are now discovering prices of anything between 2 rupees 90 paise to about 3 rupees 12 paise for solar with about up to 6 hours of battery storage. So in terms of its ability to provide reliable energy, in terms of its ability to provide low cost energy, I think green energy, both solar, wind along with battery energy storage, will continue to support India's emerging power demand and will support India's economic growth.
So following up on that, you have President Trump, who's walked out of the International Solar Alliance. That is something that India and France were co-leading. What does this say about India's strategy going ahead when it comes to renewable energy, right? Will India continue to align with global coalitions like the ISA, or will India pursue its own independent energy policy that is not governed or partaken by major economies like the US?
Well, both are not mutually exclusive. India's ability and motivation to design its own energy transition strategy is something which has been going on since 2014 onwards, and in this journey there has not been any stoppage. But when it comes to international alliances, India remains a firm believer in International Solar Alliance's objective to take decentralized solar energy to different parts of the world and to realize and fulfill the ability of nature to supply energy to population at low cost. So from that perspective, we already have about 125 member countries of ISA who still believe in ISA and continue to support ISA's objectives. So from that perspective, ISA's initiative in South Asia, in small island countries, in Middle East and in Africa will continue to prosper and will continue with the same vigor, with the same momentum.
Right. So since we're talking about solar energy, that has easily proven to be the backbone of India's renewable energy sector, right? That forms a very large part of the certain 267 gigawatt capacity that India has built. Talk to us, you spoke to us about the sort of cost that has come down per unit of solar energy. Talk to us about the sort of rural impact that it has also had. There's so many schemes that the government is running for more and more solar energy adoption. But what are we seeing when it comes to urban versus rural? There's some sort of a cost price difference that has come in urban markets. What about rural markets, sir? Is it still a viable option for people to set up at their homes, and how has that penetrated when it comes to rural India?
So we have seen two things. One is through government schemes like PM Surya Ghar and PM Kusum. There has been a massive boost to decentralized renewable energy deployment. And we have seen that states like Maharashtra, which were giving a subsidy of nearly 15,000 crore for agricultural feeder level subsidy, are now deploying PM Kusum in a very large scale. They have done a tender for 16 gigawatt, and that will lower their subsidy by a huge margin. And similar initiatives, be it in Rajasthan, be it in Gujarat, be it in Madhya Pradesh, is also ensuring that farmers get the benefit of getting free electricity using solar facilities, and at the same time the states reducing their subsidy outgo, which was going towards either agricultural feeders or to domestic consumers. You pointed out about the difference between urban and rural consumers in deploying solar energy and the cost differential. So for houses which used to have an electricity bill of 2,000 rupees and above in a month, for them it makes ample sense to immediately apply under PM Surya Ghar and deploy it quickly so that they can reduce their electricity bills to a substantial extent, and at many times make it free. But as far as rural households are concerned, generally the consumption is less, and many rural households are subsidized by the state governments and don't pay much of an electricity bill. So in those cases, we have also initiated utility-led aggregation model, where 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt demand could be met, and the initial upfront cost will not have to be borne by the consumer. And that should allow a large number of rural consumers also to avail of PM Surya Ghar facility, and that will also enable the state governments to reduce their subsidy burden for domestic consumers over a period of time.
So would you be able to share some numbers in terms of rural adoption and urban adoption when it comes to solar energy? How many households would there be that would solely be reliant on renewable energy as their primary means of energy?
So currently, between the government-led schemes like PM Surya Ghar and as well as private deployment, we expect that about 7 to 8 gigawatt of energy, distributed energy deployment is happening in rural areas, whereas through PM Surya Ghar, about another 8 gigawatt is happening in the urban areas. But in course of time, we expect that with utility-led aggregation models coming into force, the rural deployment is also going to increase.